It's amazing to be with all of you.
真的是非常的美妙，能够和大家所有人在一起。
Thank you for taking the time and traveling to be here.
感谢你们抽出时间，千里迢迢的赶在这里。
I hope that what you can receive can be of some inspiration to you.
我希望大家在这里收获的会对你们有一些启发。
So the topic for today is about spirituality.
那我们今天的对话主题呢，就是关于灵性。
What is it?
什么是灵性？
Why do we do it?
我们为什么会需要灵性？
So according to the Oxford Dictionary,
通过牛津字典的定义，
I will read it.
我给大家读一下。
Spirituality is a broad concept that can be defined as a person's search for meaning and purpose in life.
灵性它是一个非常宽泛的定义，它可以指一个人在生命的意义上的追寻，
and their sense of connection to something greater than themselves.
和那些比他们自己更加高的一个存在去链接。
It can also include a belief in a supernatural realm afterlife.
它也可以和在往生之后的一个更加超自然的存在相关联，
or a desire for personal growth.
也包括对个人成长的一个渴望。
Some characteristics of spirituality include
那对于灵性的有一些特征，包括
connection,
链接
a sense of connection to others,
和他人的一种链接感、
nature,
自然
or art. That
艺术、
personal growth,
个人成长、
a desire for personal growth or transformation,
渴望个人的成长或转换、
beliefs,
信念、
a belief in a higher power,
相信更高的力量，
or believe that there is more to being humans in the sense we experience.
或者相信我们作为人类有一种更高的体验。
Experience,
去体验
a sacred or transcendent experience that can be felt in times of stress, illness, loss, or death.
一种神圣的超然的体验，在困难时刻或者是在病痛的时候。
So this is the Western concept of spirituality.
这是西方对于灵性的一个定义。
Now let's see what the difference is in the Chinese definition.
那我们来看一下，在中文的词典里面是如何定义灵性的。灵性，顾名词，意灵活、灵动、灵异，代表自由、洒脱，不被形式捆绑，不被规则约束，真实自然，活出本真的自我。灵性是人与宇宙的链接，服务于宇宙至高无上的自然规律。一切想法、行为都在宇宙规律中运行，所以信奉灵性的人活得真实快乐。所有宗教是灵性的一部分，而灵性不属于任何宗教，灵性是链接的宇宙，只属于自然而然的宇宙规律。那我现在用英文给大家翻译一下。Spirituality means flexible and transcendental. It means free and not bounded by any kind of form or any kind of rules. It's authenticity and natural to learn to live our true self. Spirituality means connection between human and the cosmic, and to serve to the cosmic rules. All thoughts, all actions, works according to these cosmic rules. So whoever believes in spirituality, they live an authentic and a happy life. All religions is part of spirituality, but spirituality does not belong to any religion. Spirituality connects us with the universe and the universe.
So you see already how different it is in definition from the West.
所以我们大家可以看到，东方对灵性的定义和西方的灵性的定义已经有很大的差别。
So the spiritual journey begins usually because we are looking for something more.
通常灵性的道路它起始于我们在追寻更多。
The something more has not been found in what you already have.
也就是在我们已经拥有的那些东西里面，追寻不到我们所想要的这个更多。
You may have a relationship, you may have a job, you may have a stable family life.
你也许有在关系当中，你也许有一份工作，你也许有着一个稳定的家庭生活。
But you are left with the feeling that something is missing.
但你有这样一种感觉，还有缺失。
Or you want to feel something different.
或者是你想要有不同的体验。
That you are not currently feeling.
你现在还没有体验到。
In the West, but this usually happens in the middle of a person's life.
在西方的社会里面，经常会发生在一个人的中年时期。
They term it a midlife crisis.
有这样一个定义，称为中年危机。
So it is somebody who has already done everything that can be done.
对于一个人，他如果已经做了他能做的一切，
and is left feeling empty.
但他还是只有这种空虚的感受。
Left feeling that there must be more.
他就有这样一个感受，应该还有更多。
And so what they usually do in the West.
那在西方，他们经常会做什么呢？
Is we call it make and break.
就是他们称之为建造再摧毁。
We call it make and break.
我们称之为建造再摧毁。
So they make some things new.
所以他们建造一些新的。
And they break some things old.
他们在摧毁一些旧的。
Women reinvent themselves.
女士呢就会重新打造自己。
And men buy new cars.
男士就会买新车。
All in hope. All in the hope that they will feel better.
都会抱有这样的期待，就是让自己感觉更好一点。
And what they discover.
而他们发现什么呢？
Is that they don't feel better.
就是他们并没有感受更好。
And so they do more and more and more.
所以他们就做了更多更多。
On the outside.
在这个外在。
To shift something on the inside.
去想要得到内在的转变。
And it doesn't work.
但是行不通。
Authentic spirituality.
真实的灵性。
Is like drinking kuding.
就像是喝苦丁茶。
Which is extremely bitter.
那是非常苦涩的。
But very good for you.
但却对你非常好。
So it asks for us to see where we are currently taking our happiness from.
所以他要求我们去看到我们目前所追寻的幸福在哪里。
What is the source of the happiness?
我们幸福的源头是什么？
We should investigate.
我们要去好好的调查。
And factually,
那事实上
we need to see how long does that happiness last?
我们要看到的是那种幸福感，它能维持多久？
How many cars should I have to be happy?
我们需要拥有多少辆车才能幸福呢？
How many RMB do I need to have to be happy?
我们要有多少人民币才能幸福呢？
How many houses do I need to be happy?
我需要买多少房子才能幸福呢？
What kind of security do I need to be happy?
我需要什么样的保障我才能幸福？
And even if I put all of them together,
哪怕把这些全部加在一起，
do I remain happy?
我能够保持快乐吗？
If the answer to any of these is no,
如果你得的结论是不行，
then we have looked in the wrong place for happiness.
那就证明我们在错误的地方找寻快乐。
So by definition,
那在定义上来讲，
those material things cannot deliver.
那些物质是无法给予我们所追寻的。
This does not mean that you should give up the material things.
但这并不代表呢，我们就要放弃物质的一切。
All you have to give up
你只需要放弃的是，
is the idea that they are responsible for your happiness.
就是他们要对你的幸福负责，
And then grow the feeling that you want.
在这个基础之上去培养你想要的那种感受。
So for many people,
有很多人来说，
we are also very disconnected from how we feel about things.
我们会和我们对事物的感受失联。
It's not possible for us to access feelings.
对我们来说，去接触到我们的感受已经变得不太可能。
We find it difficult to give.
我们发
We
现
find it difficult to receive.
给予和接受都很困难，
And it challenges us.
那它会挑战我们。
When I started my spiritual journey,
当我开始我的灵性旅程的时候，
I had many judgments about how my life should be.
我对我生活应该出现的状态有很多的评
And
判，
especially, I had judgments against my parents.
尤其是对我的父母。
In my mind, I felt that they should have loved me differently.
在我的头脑里会认为，他们养育我、爱我的方式应该有所不同。
I felt they should have given more love,
我感到他们应该给我更多爱，
that they should have been more consistent.
他们应该更加持续稳定，
They were not.
但他们不是这样的。
And so I entered my early adulthood
当我进入我的青年期，
with this idea
带着这样一种观点，
that I had been wronged.
就是我被错误的对待了。
At the same time,
同时，
I wanted to have a different experience.
我想拥有一个不同的体验。
So I understood that even though I didn't have what I wanted at the time,
但我明白，尽管那个时候我没有拥有我所期望的，
it was ultimately my choice how I felt.
但终极来讲，那是我的选择，我选择了这样的感受。
So what journey started
那我的旅程开始，
was literally to look at everything that I believed about my life and the people in it.
实质上就是我要认真的去纠缠我在我的生命中所持有的那些信念和在我生命中出现的那些人。
I made a sincere prayer,
我做了一个真诚的祈祷。
and I've only done that like 3 times in my life.
那我这么真诚的祈祷，我大概到现在为止，我只做了3次。
Asking for things.
我请求指引，
So then one by one, all the teachers I required came into my life.
那一位接一位，我所需要的老师出现在我的生命中。
And one of the first things that had to be healed was my expectation of my parents.
我需要去处理的第一个功课就是我对父母他们的期望。
I don't know quite how to explain it to you,
我不太清楚我要怎么跟你们解释，
but it was one of the most difficult experiences that I'd been through.
但这是我所经历过的最困难的情形之一。
Because as humans, we want love and support,
因为作为人类，我们是想要爱和支持的，
but we want it the way that we want it.
但我们想要以我们认为的方式。
We don't really consider the capacity of the people in our lives.
我们并没有去考虑到在我们生命中出现的人，他
And
们所
this
具备的
makes
能力，
us resent others.
这就导致了我们对其他人的排斥。
I was full of resentment for my parents.
我当时充满了对我父母的厌恶，
So I started a process called rebirthing.
那我就经历了一个叫做重生的历程。
So rebirthing involves using intention and breath.
那这个重生它需要2个技巧，一个是我的关注力，一个是我的呼吸。
It's quite a challenging system.
这是一个非常挑战的体系。
So you work through themes.
你去对不同的主题进行工作，
that deal with your limiting beliefs.
它会去和你的限制性信念做工作。
And you literally use a specific kind of breath
那你会用一种非常特定的呼吸
to work through those feelings and come to understanding.
去经历那些感受，然后达到一个理解。
Usually the initial sessions are 10 to 25,
一般它的这个历程大概需要10到25个个案，
and they last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours.
它可能每一个个案会持续1到3个小时，
And it's you and your breath.
那就是你和你的呼吸在一起。
And what happens is amazing.
那发生的事情是很奇妙的，
You literally begin to see and relive
就是你真的是可以开始去看到，并且重新去体
your
验
own painful beliefs.
你自我的痛苦的信念，
And you have the possibility to see from a different perspective.
你就有了可能从另外一个视角去看待。
So if you have fear, you have the chance to see it from a different perspective using what you have already.
如果你有恐惧，那你就可以在基于你已有的体验之上，去从另外一个角度去看待。
And then I learned every kind of handheld healing.
后来我又学了很多的手部的疗愈，
So over about 10 years, more than 12 techniques.
那我大概经历了10年，学了12种技巧，
And still, I didn't feel I was where I can be.
但我仍然感觉到我并没有到我要到达的那个地方，
So many things were already healed.
很多都被疗愈了。
And you know that they are because you find yourself in the similar situations and your feeling is different. That's your measure.
那它的衡量标准是什么？就是你会发现在同样相似的情形里面，你的体验已经有所不同了。
I didn't have any more expectations of my parents.
我对我的父母已经没有任何的期待了。
My sister and I had a joke a few weeks ago.
我和我的妹妹前几周还开玩
We
笑，
were sitting in the kitchen
我们坐在厨房，
and we were watching my mother interact with her dog.
我们看着我的妈妈和她的宠物狗互动，
She gave so much love to him.
她给予那个宠物狗啊如此多的爱
She spoke to him so sweetly.
啊，她是那么甜蜜的在跟他对话。
We looked at each other and we said, she has never spoken to us like that.
然后我们彼此对望了一眼，说：“怎么我们妈妈从来没对我们这样？
But she never gave us snacks.
可是她从来都不给我们零食。
And so we decided we will confront her
所以我们决定了，我们要找她对峙，
about this topic.
就关于这一点，
How can she love him more than she loves us?
她怎么能爱一只狗胜过爱我们呢？
And she looked at us in a very cool way.
那她就很淡然的看着我们，
And she said, of course,
她说这很正常，
we do the best we can with what we have when we have it.
我们只能对我们所拥有的尽力而为。
And I could not argue with this.
但我也不能反驳她这一点。
Of course, we understood
当然，我们明白，
that love is love.
爱就是爱。
And now it is very clear for all of us
那现在对我们来说都非常清楚，
that we can ask for what we want.
我们可以去要求那些我们想要的，
And we don't have to hold a register of resentment in our minds.
但我们也不需要把这种憎恨感。
So spirituality is to become free
所以灵性就是要自由，
of the prison of your own mind.
从你自己头脑建立的监狱中
I
自
had
由。
the pleasure of meeting an avadut in the making.
那我有这个荣幸去见到这一个制作阿巴杜的过程。
What is avadut?
那什么是阿巴杜？
Avadut means the light is on, but there is no one.
阿巴杜的意思是灯是开着的，但是没有任何人。
There is no opposites.
都
There is
是
no
都
opposites.
是
No. There is no opposites.
就是没有对立面。
So Guruji and I were sitting and watching him.
我和咕噜吉坐在那里看这个过程，
And Guruji is intently looking at him
那咕噜吉他是刻意的看着那个人的，
because really he's quite skeptical.
就很少啊，咕噜吉会呈现出一种质疑
He's
的态度。
skeptical of spiritual realization.
呼
Guruji,
这是呀，
very skeptical.
咕噜吉对于灵性的了悟是有很大的质疑的。
Like if somebody says they are this or that,
就像比如有人在他面前说我已经了悟成这样，我已
he's
经了
very
悟成这样，
skeptical.
咕噜吉对这一点是非常持有质疑的态度的。
So he's watching,
那他就看着，
and I can see that he's so internally moved.
那我能感受到他的内在受到了很大的动荡。
So later this day,
那
later on the day, we were talking about it,
同一天晚点时候，我们有讨论这一点。
and he said, "My God, he's so close."
他说：“天哪，他已经如此接近了。
In another time, we were traveling in South India. ”
另外有一个时候，我们一起在印度旅行，
We met somebody who had attained the realization already,
我们见到了一位已经了悟的人，
and he's now aiming for the rest, for the realization of the divine.
现在他就朝向这个神性了悟迈进。
Well, how do you imagine it looks? How do you imagine it looks when somebody is aiming for realization? How do you imagine that it looks?
那你们想象的他会呈现出的样子是怎么样的？当一个人
I'm interested in
他想要个人了悟，他以
in
了悟
hearing
为目
how
标。
you see it.
我很感兴趣对于你们对个人了悟追求的一个理解。你们认为
Anyone?
大家都可以
How do
举
you
手发言。
imagine it looks?
你们
What
是
do they
如何想象？
do on a daily basis?
就比如说日常，一个了悟的人日常会是怎样？
They're peaceful.
平和。
What else?
没有二元对立，
呃
是合一的。
那个 that they live in unity, no difference。
In the beginning, no.
一开始是没有的。
How does it look when they are aiming for that?
就他们以了悟为目标的时候，是会呈现出什么样的状态 ？Silence，
Painful,
痛苦，
so much pain,
如此多的痛苦，
so much pain you can throw everything and leave.
就痛到你就想掀桌子走人了。
When she decided, who is one of the greatest spiritual leaders that ever existed,
舍利赛他是至今为止非常伟大的一位灵性领袖
he had one god brother,
他有2位兄弟，
and both of them were worthy to take what the guru had to give into the world.
他们2位都非常值得，就是咕噜可以给予这个世界的东西，
But there was to be a test
但是他们必须要经历考验，
to see if they can carry.
去验证他们是否能够能够容纳。
So the guru gave the proposal.
咕噜就给了一个提议，
The one disciple refused,
那其中一个弟子就拒绝了。
and Shri said, "Whatever you want."
舍利赛就说：“那随便你吧，你想要什么
So the guru said, "Okay."
那咕噜说：“好的，
He took a rope
你去拿一条绳子
and tied it around his ankles,
缠在他的脚踝上，
and he threw him into the well
把他扔进了井里。
so that his head is almost touching the water,
那他的头就几乎已经要接触到水面了，
and left him there
就把他留在那里，
with no food or water
没有水也没有食
for
物，
almost 25 days.
经历了25天。
The trick was not the situation,
那这个里面的它的一个暗层的玄机，就是不是他
but
所
how
呈
he
现的样子，
reacted in the situation.
而是说在这样的情形中，你到底会做出如何的反应？
Another saint
另外一个圣人
from the desert of Rajasthan
在拉吉斯坦的这样一个沙漠里面，
appeared at the time that he was to give the gift of healing to his devotee,
那他
to
当
his
时
disciple.
他会给一个疗愈的能力传给他的弟子们。
So he came and he said, "It's time.
他来到这里说，
It's time
时
to
机到
give
了，
you the ability to heal others."
时机到了，我要把疗愈他人的能力传给你们。
So he always carried a knife with him.
他一直都带着他的匕首，
He pulled out the knife
他把匕首拿出来，
and he looked at his disciple
他看着他的弟子
and
们，
he cut him 3 times deeply in each arm. No, the disciple.
他就在这个弟子的手臂上，划了3道非常深的伤痕，
And then he waited for the reaction.
然后他就等着他如何反应。
How would you react?
你们会如何反应？
So that disciple was seasoned by more than 30 years of spiritual practice.
就他的那个弟子已经在灵性道路上沉浸了25
Follow
年
the
了，
instruction.
跟随咕噜的教导。
Total freedom.
全然的自由，
Means really facing the things that are difficult for you to face.
意味着你要去面对那些对你来说非常难面对的事。
Nobody is going to cut you with a knife, don't worry.
没有人会拿刀来划你的，你不用担心，
You will have to cut
你自己需要动手
your ideas, your thoughts.
去砍掉你的这些想法念
You
头，
will have to choose how you want to feel.
你要去选择你想所拥有的体验。
So I worked all this stuff and I find myself in the relationship with Guruji.
在经历了前面几位导师之后，我最终来到了和咕噜吉的关
I
系。
have arrived.
我觉得我已经达成了。
Within a few months of knowing him,
在认识他几个月之后，
he let me know how little I know.
他就让我明白了我所知道的多么的一文不值。
So we are walking along after he took a dip in the Ganga.
我们一起他在恒河里面浸泡一下之后，我们一起走回去。
2008,
2008年，
just after Shivaratri.
在这个世
No,
婆
no,
节
just before Shivaratri.
在世婆节之前，
So in March.
在3月份的时候，
And he looks at me and he says, "Can I tell you something?"
他看着我对我说：“我能跟你说点什么吗
So I'm going to tell him no.？”
那我肯定不能拒绝他。
Of course.
我说：“当然了。”
And he says, "I see pride in you."
他对我说：“我在你的内在看到了骄傲。
I was devastated ”
我当时就非常崩溃，
because I'd worked so hard.
因为我已经做了这么多功课了，
I'd worked so hard and not being proud.
我已经做了那么多功课，不想要呈现出骄傲了。
My head started spinning.
然后我就开始感觉到天旋地
And
转，
where did I show this pride?
我就开始琢磨，我到底在什么时候、什么地点呈现出了这种骄傲呢？
And I'm calculating and I'm working
我就不停的在盘算，
to see like where did I do it.
我就一直在琢磨，我到底什么时候暴露？
I'm sitting on my bed, I remember I was rocking like this.
我记得我当时坐在床边啊，我就身体不停的这样前后摆动。
And with so much kindness, he comes to sit next to me.
他是如此的友善，他来到我身边坐下，
And he says to me, "You don't need to worry about it.
他对我说：“你不用担心，
Take care."
我会照顾好的。
My response was not good. ”
那我当时的反馈可真是不太好。
So I looked at him and I said, "Just leave."
然后我就转向他，对着他说：“让我一个人待着。
So much pride. ”
你可以感受到我是多么的骄傲了，
So much pride.
多么的自傲。
And so he looked at me as if to say, "Are you
然后
okay?
他就对我的反应，他非常的震惊。
I'm offering you a way out of this huge pattern And you're telling me
我
to
在
leave you alone.
我在向你给予你这样一种可能性，去离开这个这么严重的一个模式，但是你却告诉我让你自己带人，
But he doesn't lose and he doesn't fail.
但他不会失败的，
So he waited
他等待。
March, September. So in September, he came to South Africa
从3月份到了9月，9月他来到了南非，
and he had a darshan
他在那里进行了达善。
and he was home after the darshan
那他达善之后回到家，
in his bedroom.
在他的卧室里面，
And then I remember I was sitting on his bed next to him
我记得我当时坐在他的床上，
and the room was full of devotees.
房间里面坐满了奉献者们，
And I asked him to tell a story.
那我就请他讲一个故事，
He so set me up.
他就算计
He's
我。
so So on the same, like the day after this, I see pride in you. He asked me to arrange for the whole group of devotees to go for a dip in the Ganges.
因为在那个3月份，他告诉我了，他在我的内在看到骄傲之后的后面那2天，他叫我去做一个安排一群奉献者去恒河里面浸泡。
So now I'm really angry, and it's a brewing inside of me.
当时的我感觉非常的愤怒，我内在这个愤怒的烈火在燃烧，
It's like a mixture of embarrassment and self-righteousness.
它是一种混合物，就像是一种难堪和一种伸张正义的这种感受。
So I arranged for everybody to come to a place that I know
那我就安排了这些人呢，去到那个我所知道的地方，
in Rishikesh.
在瑞士凯诗。
And so they all do. The ladies go in to take a dip first,
他们都依次去进行了浸泡，女士优先。
but I couldn't go because I was finding the barber to cut the hair of the new brahmachari.
但我没有办法参加这个仪式，是因为我当时在寻找一个理发师，去为一个即将要起引为独身修行的人去剪头发。
And in that time, all the men went into the water as well.
就在这个时候呢，那些男士们就进到水里面去了。
So I of course felt, why did they go without me?
那我当时就觉得他们怎么就不等我就先去了呢？
So in March, the Ganges is in flood.
那3月这个恒河是发水的季节，
And this place is around the corner, so there are rapids.
所以就是而且我们选的是一个河弯道的地方，所以这个
And the
河流
current
非常
is quite strong.
这个水流是非常急的。
So how you usually enter as a group and you hold on to each other.
所以一般进入的方法呢，都是说大家作为一个团体，手拉手的走进去。
So of course I was my own group.
那没办法，我独身一人，
Me, myself, and I.
就我的和我，
We entered the water.
我们3个人一起走进了水里。
She was drying his hair,
那咕噜吉当时在擦干他的头发，
and everybody ignored me.
但是人人都没有看到我，
So the current takes me.
然后水流就把我冲走了，
I'm moving down around the corner down the river.
然后就把我带得越来越远。
And I'm so proud I won't ask for help.
我实在是太骄傲了，我不肯求助。
So his head is down and the towel is over his face like this.
那当时他头是低着在擦头发，然后头
So
是
he
低着，
moves the towel
他把
and he doesn't turn his head.
毛巾移开，并没有转头，
He just uses his eyes like this.
他只是斜了一下眼睛，
And the river lets me go.
然后河流就放过了我。
I couldn't even appreciate that at the time.
但那个时候我都没有
I
看到这些，
stormed past them,
我非常是怒气冲冲的穿过了他们，
so angry.
我特别生气，
None of them helped.
他们都不来帮我，
Even though he just did.
哪怕他已经刚刚帮了我，
So now we are in his room almost a year later.
那差不多就是快1年之后了，我们
And
在他
I
的这个卧
said
室
to
里，
him, Guruji,
然后我对他说
can you please tell us a story?：“
布鲁吉，你能不能给我们讲个故
Like
事
I said to you, it was a setup.？”
所以跟你说他算计我，
So he starts to tell this story.
他就讲了我的故事。我的天呐！
And he gets to this part,
当他讲到这一部分的时候，
and I correct him.
我还纠正他，
And he looks at me and he says,
那他看着我说
You shoot one arrow
你射了一箭，
and you will miss.
你也射不中，
I shoot 1,000
我同时可以
and I don't miss.
射1000发，但我从来不会错失。
So it may sound really dramatic to you,
这可能对你们听起来非常的戏剧化，
but you have to look at it in context of what I was aiming for.
但你们可以去考虑当时的一个背景，就是我的
What I
目标是
was
什么，
yearning to experience.
我渴望想体验什么。
He sees everything in context
他可以看到我们一切的背景，
and then takes personal responsibility for the individual and their growth.
然后对于每个个体的情况去
I was so
承担起
disturbed.
责任，让他们成长。
I was so disturbed by this.
我那个时候非常的困扰，
My Java mala was in my hand
我的家
and they made a video of it. I was asleep and my hand was moving the mala.
他们当时录像了，我的手呢就举着我的这个加帕念珠，我已经睡着了，但是我的手还不停的在拨念珠。
I also understood that this is a huge opportunity for me.
那我也明白，这是一个非常大的机
And
会。
it is the moment I can stay or I can walk
在那个时候，我可以选择留下来，也可以选择离开，
because it was so loaded with pain,
因为充满了痛苦，
so loaded with my story.
充满了我自己所编造的剧情。
The next day he was leaving the country
第二天他就要离开南非了，
and we had a moment in the prayer room
我们在祈祷室有短暂的时刻，
and he looked at me and he said to me, I have no use for your mind.
然后他看着我对我说：“我对你的头脑来说没有什么用。
And then the only words that could come from me ”
但当时我只能说出的话是，
was that I understand that this is what there is here
我就明白了，这就是我现在的状态。
and there is nothing that I know how to do or what to do about it.
我什么也做不了，我也不知道怎么做，
But please don't abandon me in this.
请不要抛弃我。
He didn't respond.
他没有回应，
And so it was left for me to see
所以留下我一个人在那里思考，
what would I gain by this pattern?
从这样的模式里面我能收获什么？
What would I gain from being proud?
保持这份骄傲，我能够得到什么？
And it became one of my really important spiritual lessons.
它成为了我一个非常重要的灵性教训。
And so over the years, what he did
那这些年他做的
is he showed what is inside by squeezing.
他展示了通过去挤压我们内在拥有什么，
And this is no different for you.
对你们来说也是一样。
If you learn a skill
如果你学习一项技能，
or you learn information,
如果你获得了信息，
you have to squeeze to see what has gone in,
那你需要去挤压，你才知道你到底吸收了什么，
because then it will come out.
因为它就会出来。
And which are the exams that are the most rewarding?
那什么样的考试能得到最大的回报呢？
The easy ones or the difficult ones?
是简单的测试还是难的测试？
Which one?
哪一个？
The difficult ones.
当然是难的，
Because like this, you can know what has gone in and have you understood.
这样你才能测试你到底吸收了多少，你理解了多少。
So then he gave me the chance to prove that I understood.
后来他给了我这样一个机会，去证明我到底理
And
解了
that
多少，
this pattern had changed.
我的这个模式是否有变化。
And so he made sure in more than one occasion
他确保超过一种情形，不止一种情形。
and when it was more or less complete,
当快要结束的时候，
I understood
我明白
that everything can happen and nothing is impossible.
一切都可能发生，没有什么不可能的。
That the sense of connection I was looking for
我所追寻的那种链接感，
for so many years
这么多年
was now in front of me.
一直都在我的面前。
The sense of belonging that I looked for
我所追寻的归属感
was now in front of me.
就在我的面前。
And the huge lesson of loving
那我学到了一个很大的关于爱
was
的
also
教
in
训，
front of me.
也在我的面前。
And the conclusion I reached was like this.
那我所得到的结论是这样的：
When we would like to receive something from someone,
当我们想要从某人那里收获某事，
what is the easiest way that we can get it?
那最简单的得到的方法是什么？
What's the easiest way to get what you want from others?
什么是最简单的方法去得到从其他人那里得到你想得到的东西？请求
Give
不对啊，就是给
The
予。
easiest way to get what you want from others is to give them what you want.
最简单的从其他人那里得到你想要得到的方法，就是去给予你想要得到的那个东西。
And what you learn, then you learn that you never wanted anything.
然后你就会学习到，其实你什么都不想
And
要，
that life is just a continuous reminder.
而生命它就是一个持续的提醒。
Life is just a continuous reminder that you are okay.
那生命会不断的提醒你，你一切
And
都
that
好，
all the pain put together
而所有的痛苦加在一起，
is your greatest teacher.
都是你最好的老师。
If you can see,
如果你真的能看到，
if you can't see,
如果你看不到，
again and again and again and again and again.
那你会不断的循环。
So we're going to do an exercise.
那我们现在要做一个练习，
You need to sit with your spine straight.
大家请保持上身笔直，
Don't touch anybody.
不要接触到旁边的任何人。
I'm going to suggest a thought to you.
我现在要给到你们一个想法的建议，
See how it sits with you.
看看你是怎么理解它的。
Close your eyes.
闭上眼睛，
And I don't want you to change your breath.
我不希望你们改变呼吸的节奏，
I want you just to follow it.
只需要去追随自然的呼吸。
And I want you to see how you usually respond to stressful situations.
我希望你们去观察你们对于压力很大的情形是如何反应的。
What happens to you when you feel stressed?
当你感受到很大的压力的时候，你发生了什么？
What happens to your physical body?
你的物质身体会发生什么？
What happens to your mind?
你的头脑会发生什么？
What happens to the way you do things?
你处理事物的方式会发生什么？
That do things get easier or are they more difficult?
事情会变得更难还是更简单？
Do you feel comfortable or uncomfortable in your body?
你的身体感觉是舒适还是不舒适？
What grows inside you?
你的内在会出现什么？
Are you able to connect with others
你
or not?
你还能和他人链接吗？
Who are you when you are angry,
当你愤怒的时候，你是谁？
when you are frustrated,
当你沮丧的时候，
when you are resentful,
当你充满了憎恶的时候，
when you feel you don't have enough?
当你感到你没有拥有足够的，
Who are you?
你是谁？
Sit with that.
去保持这一个感受，
Sit with your worst self,
与你最差的那一面在一起，
the self that hates others,
那个憎恶其他所有人的自己，
the self that wishes pain for others,
那个希望对其他人造成痛苦的自己，
sit with it
与这种感受在一起，
and allow it to breathe in your body.
允许它在你的身体内呼吸，
Breathe
呼吸，
with your laziness.
感受你的懒惰，
Breathe
呼吸，
with your inconsistency.
去感受你的不可持续，
Breathe
呼吸
with your fearfulness.
和你的恐惧在一起，
Breathe
呼吸
with your lack of love.
和你缺乏爱在一起。
See the whole story.
去看到整个的故事。
Now take your right hand,
那现在拿刀去关注你的右手，
put it on your chest.
将右手放在你的胸口，
Take your left hand
左手
and put it there too.
放在你的右手之上。
Hands are the way we approve and love.
手是一种我们给予认可和爱的方式。
And I'd like you in the language of your birth
我希望你们用自己的母语
to inhale, I am okay with me.
在吸气的时候默念我自己很好，
And to exhale, I am okay with me.
呼气也默念我自己很好，
With my imperfections,
和我的不完美、
fears,
恐惧、
laziness,
懒惰、
pride,
骄傲、
anger,
愤怒、
resentment,
憎恶、
frustration.
沮丧，
I am okay with me.
我自己很好。
And feel that your hands are an extension of that loving approval.
去感受你的手就是那份爱的认可的一个延展，
All the loving approval that you have ever looked for
所有那些你在追求的爱的认可，
is in your hands.
都在你自己的手上。
I am okay.
我可以，
I am okay.
我可以，
I am okay.
我可以。
Now see what happens when you are okay with you.
去看到，当你能够接纳自己，
What happens when this okayness expands?
当这样的一种接纳扩张，会发生什么？
When it becomes how you are with others,
当它成为你对待他人的方式，
how do you respond?
你如何做出反应？
What can become possible
有什么样的可能性？
when you are okay with you?
当你能接纳自己，
And now see
现在去看到
your kindness,
你的友善，
your consistency,
你的持续，
your consideration,
你的善解人意，
your compassion,
你的慈悲，
your concern for others,
你对他人的关怀，
your service to others,
你对他人的服务，
your connection to friends and family,
你和朋友和家人的链接，
and the love you feel for them.
和你对他们的爱。
And see that you are okay with this.
去看到你能够接受这一切， 去感受
That consideration,
感受这份理解，
that love for others,
这份对他人的爱，
compassion.
这份慈悲。
Now I'll offer you a breathing technique
那我现在会教你们一个呼吸的技巧，
that you can use again and again.
你们可以重复的使用。
It's called 21 breaths,
它称之为21次呼吸，
and it has the ability to shift your mindset.
它能够去改变你的思维模式。
So it consists of 4 breaths
所以它包括4组呼吸，
and then a very deep breath. The 5th breath is very deep,
第5个呼吸非常的深，
and you do that 4 times, which is 20.
那这样4个呼吸加1个深呼吸为一组，做4轮，就一共是20个呼吸。
And at the end, a very deep breath and out.
在结束之后，再做一个非常深的呼吸。
So you can drop your hands.
现在把手慢慢的放下，
So listen to my breath first.
来倾听我的呼吸先。
So it sounds like this.
它听起来是这样的。
Don't do yet.
先不要
Just
做，
listen.
你们只是先听我的。
Now you can do. So 4 in, out, connected breaths. The 5th, very deep in and out. You do that 4 times. And the last breath is very deep in and very deep out. Okay?
所以是4个正常的呼吸之后，第5个呼吸是深呼吸，这样5个呼吸为一轮，一共是4轮之后，再做一次非常深的呼吸。
So you can see.
我们现在可以开始。
when you're done, just be in the awareness of your breath sensation.
如果你做完了，就停留在这种对自己呼吸的觉察之中。
Now I'd like you to break into pairs. Please sit with someone that you don't know.
好，现在请大家2人一组，找到一个你不认识的伙伴。大家可以在房间里面走动起来，不局限
Don't
于
face your back, so you can face each other like this.
就面对面，面对面找到一个不认识的伙伴，面对面坐着。
You don't need to speak.
不需要说话，你应该看得出来谁不认识吧？找一个不认识的伙伴，用眼睛就可以识别你不认识的伙伴。我们不需要聊天。
Don't touch each other.
大家稍微保持一点距离，不要碰触到其他人。还没有找到伙伴的人举手。好，去看那些举手的人。没有找到伙伴的人，你们去在举手的人里面找到一个你不认识的人。
You can sit here.
这边前面还有位置啊，大家可以坐到前面来。大家坐的稍微有一点点空隙啊，不要碰触到其他人。还有伙伴没有找到，找到这个配对吗？举手。还是独自一人的举手。看到这边还有一个人哦，大家可以没有找到自己伙伴的人举手，直到你找到那个啊，看举手的人里面不认识的人在走向对方，当你找到对方之后，就把手放下，还没有找到持续举手，一直到你找到你的伙伴为止。还有人没有找到伙伴吗？没有找到举手。好，大家保持一些距离啊，坐着。
Okay. So I want you to look at one another.
我希望你们看着彼此。
Up and down. Look
上下
up
打
and
量。
take in the person in front of you.
好好的去看一看你对面这位。
And so what you're going to do
那你要做的是，
is you're going to take turns
你们将会轮流
to say 7 compliments
去给出7个赞扬，
to each other.
彼此给出7个赞扬。
You can use your fingers to count.
你可以用你的手指头去保持计数。
So when you're ready, you start.
当你们做好准备，就可以开始。
They can be fake compliments, don't worry.
你也可以假装赞美一下。
When you've done your 7 compliments, the other person will reply. 7 compliments. No,
这个
it's not a conversation.
不是一个对话。
You are practicing saying and you are practicing listening.
我们现在练习的是表达和接受。 一个人表达，另外一个人只是介绍。当一个人表达完之后，就轮到另外一个人。
And Garudadas doesn't have a partner.
Garudadas 没有伙伴是吗？还有没有伙伴的那个
Swamini.
你先是Garudadas。
So what? Hey, 7 compliments.
只是给7个赞
Not
扬，
speaking at the same time.
不是交谈。
One person speaks,
一个人说，
the other person listens.
另外一个人只是听。
项链很好看，那个装饰，它那个很精致，我觉得挺好的。每个人我觉得还挺精致的。特别我的感受啊，没有那种特别没有精神的那种感觉。名字也很重要。
内心是充满爱的，也是稳定，也是愿意去支持你，愿意去给予友善。没有中国现在的不敢看。
哪里过来？也是杭州是吧？是年龄多大？好，那一个是86。你是第一次
原来是你
过程是吧？你教我吃过，这个没见过。你教我吃过，虽然是送女儿的，你教我吃过那个黄面吃的。不吃素你搞这个吗？
下次再聊啊。
我是蛮好奇的，因为像练吹啊、练这个瑜伽的话，难的很难被说出来，而且就是来接触嘛，就是跟别人聊，就是特别精力比较好，而且他们所讲的那些受到的指引呢，这种开悟啊。中间的那个点比较好，我这个是还是讲这个老师，
那个到时间两
时间两个，维持加就是。
When you are done, you said compliments.
如果你们已经给完了7句赞扬，
You can gently close your eyes.
你可以慢慢的闭上眼睛。如果你们彼此已经完成了7句赞扬，就可以闭上眼睛。
Keep your eyes closed.
闭上眼
When
睛。
you're done,
如果完成了练习之后，就闭上眼睛。
and I'd like you to feel the effect of this
我想让你
exercise.
感受这个练习对你产生的影响。
Keep your eyes closed.
闭上眼睛。
Now say thank you. Again.
谢谢。
No, we say together.
我们一起说，
Only thank you, not thank you. Thank you.
只说谢谢，不是谢谢后面跟一大堆话，
Look at each other
看着彼此
and say thank you.
说谢谢，
Again,
再来，
again,
再来，
again,
再来，
again,
再来，
again,
再来，
again,
再来，
again, again.
再来。
And say, if it was not for you,
说如果不是你的话，
I wouldn't have known
我不会知道。
the 7 things I now know.
现在我所知道的7个点，
And I promise you
我向你承诺，
to see 7 things
去看到7件事，
in 7 people
在7个人的身上，
every day.
每天。
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But do you think the point of it is you can face forward?
大家现在可以转过来面对正者。你们觉得在这里面，
You tell me, what is the point?
来可以分享一下这个练习的意义吗 ？Discover you，
You? What is the point?
你也分享一下，你觉得练习的意义是什么？
Yeah.
当开始看到对方的时候，你就能感受到，那个心就已经开始开了，你不再沉浸在自己的那个世界里面了，你跟对方是在连接了，你的过去的故事已经过去了，就马上回到现在了。
你呢？
喜欢看对方的眼睛。I love to see. Yeah, then I can see the wisdom, calmness, and lovely, and beautiful soul.
What for you?
Yes. 对，看见真实的自己，是在出色。 I feel like awkward.
To receive compliments or to give them.
Just staring at her. Embarrassing. Trying to figure out the best of her and to please her.
说英文的伙伴自己用中文再说一遍，大家都知道。
刚开始会有点小尴尬的。
What?
我只是想看穿他。对。
And for you?
我第一次参加这种场合吧，然后就是感觉到刚开始的时候，能看到很多就是对方的那种好，那种美好，然后就是一激动就不知道该怎么表达，当时说的时候就有很多就说不出来，然后等到静下心来之后，我刚才想到的那些美好的词汇怎么没有表达出来？就是这种感觉，然后就是我能看到就对方，我觉得特别特别美好，特别 大善，他们心里的那种善良的感觉，但是当时一说出去就表达不出来，但是回头他又在我们心里了，我也不知道为什么会这样。
For you? Yeah.
非常好。
And for you? Smuggle.
自我接纳 self-acceptance.
So the trick of this exercise is that it is a mirror.
这个练习的一个它的一个背后的一个设计就是去看到镜
The
像，
good things you see about others
你能在其他人身上看到的优
are
点
your
品质，
own qualities.
那都是你自己的品质。
And so take the time every day
所以每天花一些时间，
to see 7 qualities, 7 beautiful things in 7 people. Each one 7.
那就花一些时间，每天在7个人的身上，每个人都看到7个
And
优良
what
的品
this
质。
does
那它发挥什么作用呢？
is it begins to change what you look for.
它就会开始改变你在他人身上所寻找的。
Because our usual language is one of, oh my God, those shoes don't match that skirt.
因为我们这个非常习惯的模式是，天哪，他怎么穿着这么一双鞋子，和这个裙子一点都不搭配？
And it can be very different.
这会是非常不一样的。
Spirituality's main concern is authentic connection.
灵性代表着关怀，它是一种真实的链接。
Congratulations.
恭喜你们，
Genuine.
我们现在停下来吃午饭。先停下吃午饭，然后1点钟回到，是12点50，1个小时啊，现在是1点50，12点50回到这里。
But if there are any questions, we can take them.
Ah.
Or
我们现在可以大家提4个问题，我们还有一点点时间，我们可以
and then we can have lunch.
我们可以回答4个问题之后，我们再吃午饭。
Yeah.
就是如果你的家庭或者亲密关系跟你的灵性有冲突的话，会比如说你的伴侣他执意要吃肉，或者是让你消费肉类这种，那我是应该比如说坚持选择，还是我先以我的比如说一些无视当中这种感情生活工作为重点，找到这种平衡。
The worst thing that we can do to others
我们呢，
is to dictate what they should or should not do.
我们呢对其他人所做出的最恶劣的行径，就是去指使他做这做那。
This is a really boring response
这真的是一种非常枯燥的回馈。
because then you are just the same as a father preventing his daughter from marrying the person she loves.
就像是一个老父亲在阻止女儿嫁给一个他心爱的人，
It's the same kind of feeling.
这是造成的感受是一样的。
So if the greatest obstacle is that the person is not complying to what it is that you currently believe,
那现在的我这个障碍就是说，这个人呢，他现在并不接纳你现在所相信的，
then you should investigate your capacity to love.
那这个时候就是你去研究你能够去爱的这样一个容量的机会。
Cats are obligate carnivores.
那比如说猫，它就是天生的肉食者，
Many people love cats,
很多人都喜欢猫，
but they don't eat cat food.
但他们也不会吃猫粮。
So the idea is connection as opposed to separation.
所以这里的点是链接和这种分离是相对的。
The idea is really clear communication
这里的焦点是要去清晰的沟通，
about your value system
关于你的价值体
and
系、
what you understand
你的理解，
in a space of loving acceptance.
在处于一种爱和接纳的，
And then the dominoes will fall where they fall.
然后多米诺骨牌会自然的去跌落。
But always to look for how to strengthen your capacity to love.
但你的关注点是在于如何去扩张你爱的能力。
I like to use the example of the married couple that goes to therapy after 30 years of marriage.
我很喜欢用这个例子，就是一对已经结婚30年的老夫妻去找心理咨询师，
And the wife is really upset.
那妻子非常的生气，
So the therapist asks them, my dear, what are you so upset about?
那咨询师就问他：“你亲爱的，你为什么这么生气呢
And so she says, the intimacy in my marriage is dead since 10 years.？”
他说：“我们婚姻中的亲密感啊，早在10年前就已经不见了。
So he asks her, tell me, ”
那有咨询师就问：“那跟我说说，
what is your evening ritual?
你们晚上的这样一个
What do you
流
do
程是怎样的？
when you go to bed?
就你们当时在睡觉之前会做些什么
So she says, I'm in bed before him usually,
他说：“我通常会比他先去睡觉，
reading a book.
然后我再坐在床上看书。
He always comes later
他总是会晚一点过来，
and he brushes his teeth
让他刷牙、
and cleans his face
洗脸，
and gets ready for bed.
准备要睡觉。
And he says, and then,
然后咨询说，然后呢？
and she says, and then he leaves the bathroom light on.
他说他会关洗手间的灯，
So he asks, where is your sleeping place in comparison to the bathroom?
然后咨询师就问：“那你睡觉的地方和这个洗手间的相对位置是怎样的
So she says, I sleep on the further side.？”
然后他说：“妻子说我睡在更远的那一侧。
And then she says, I get up ”
然后妻子说：“我就会起来，
and I have to put the light off
我就必须要去关灯，
and get back into bed.
然后再回到床上。
And he says, and then
然后呢，
I turn my back on him
然后我就背对他，
because I'm so upset
因为我非常生
that
气，
he doesn't switch the light off.
因为他不关灯。
So the therapist thinks for some time
然后这个治疗师就考虑了一段时间，
and he says,
然后他说
10 years,
：“10年，
10 years.
10年。
And she says, yes, you would think that he would learn. ”
然后妻子就说：“是的呀，你以为他这个时候就应该学会了。
And he says, no. ”
治疗师说：“不是这样的。
Have you ever thought of putting the light off as an act of love
那你有想过去关灯，但是是出于一种爱的表现，
rather than as an act of war?
而不是一种战争的状态？
The situation will be very different then.
那当那个时候的情形就会非常不一样。
So this is the choice
所以这是一种选择，
in a relationship like that,
在关
where
系
your
中，
partner is doing what they do.
我们的另外一半他会做他自己要做的，
Clear communication,
清晰的沟通，
loving actions.
带着爱的行动。
Any other question?
下一个问题，
Yes.
我们经常会说，就是做事情之前会问不论，但是很具体的就是，那当然就是新的一些链接啊，这个对我们来说确实挺有难度。就是，那我们在日常生活当中给他链接，我们能得到他准备的指引，就是让我们去做一些很具体的事情。
This is a very common, very common question.
这是一个很常见的问题。
What I've noticed in my life
我这一生也注意到，
is that I've not really made any decision.
就是我其实没有做过什么决定，
Things happen
事情就这么发生，
and I happen to be there.
然后我正巧也在那里。
But the easiest way to receive his guidance
但接受到他的指示最简单的方式，
is for him to be real in your life,
就是让他真的进入到你的生活中，
meaning that you don't only resort to him when there's some question you require answer,
也就是说，你不是当你需要有一些问题被解决或被回答的时候才去求助于他，
but that you cultivate the connection to him.
而是去培养和他的这种关系。
And there are several ways that he has given in order to do that.
他也给予了我们好几种方法可以去做到，
The gift of japa, for example,
比如说加帕，
is designed to transform you such that you can access the place of peace inside of you.
它的这个技巧的设计就是可以让你去接触到你内在的灵气，
And then you can be in any situation.
那这样在任何的情景中，
Puja
那包括普济，
is designed
它的设计
for a relationship to develop between you and the Ishtadev or you and Guruji.
是为了去培养你和你的个人神和乌鲁之间的关系，
such that it is possible to feel the guidance.
这样你就有可能性去接受到这样的指引，
But what it then requires is time.
但它需要的是时间，
Usually we don't want to sacrifice time.
但我们却不用去牺牲自己的时间。
But if you put together all the minutes in a day that you worry,
但如果你把你一天之中在担心受怕的这些时间加在一起，
it becomes much more than the time it takes to do puja,
那比你做一次普济的时间要长多
or
了，
the time to do japa.
或者是比你做加帕的时间要长多了。
So to receive the inner guidance
所以去收到内在的指引，
means that you have to trust that he trusts you.
就意味着你要相信他是信任你的，
Don't place emphasis on your trust of him.
不要去过度强调你对他的信任，
Put emphasis on his trust that he has entrusted you
要去相信，要去更加关注在他相信，他把这种相信给了你，
instruction
然后指示
with the treasure of connection
是和关系关系的宝贵相关，
that you have to grow.
这是你需要去成长。
See, the Guru makes three kinds of behaviors.
咕噜它会有3种行为，
If realization is like a tree with fruit on it,
如果我们把了悟比喻成一种结果实的树，
for one kind of devotee,
那其中有一种奉献者，
he walks with them to the tree.
他就会陪着这位奉献者一起走到树边，
He picks the fruit
他把果实摘下来，
and he gives them to eat.
他就给了他们去吃。
For another devotee,
另外一种奉献者，
he walks with them,
他和他们一起走过去，
tells them to pick the fruit,
告诉他们去摘果实吃，
and they eat.
然后奉献者自己吃。
For the third kind,
第3种奉献者，
he stands where he is
他站在他所在的地方，
and he says, the tree is there,
他就说树在那儿，
take this road.
走这条路。
Either way, it requires effort from you.
但不管怎样，你都要付出努力，
You are the one that has to chew,
你必须要去咀嚼、
swallow,
咽下、
digest.
消化。
And the common denominator is your mind
那通常在这里的一个指挥官是你的
and
头
how
脑
willing you are.
和你的意愿度。
So if the problem is, I don't feel his presence,
如果你的问题是我感受不到他的临在，
you should pressure yourself
那你就要给自己一些压力，
into doing what it will make the presence.
去做那些可以让你感受到他临在的事教
So
导。
if he recommends 1 hour of japa,
如果他给到的指示是
I
做1个小
I
时，
recommend you do 2,
那我就会建议你做2个小时，
because in the 1 hour you will be distracted.
因为在那个小时你会很分心，
You understand?
你明白吗？
What else?
还有吗？
2 more questions.
还有2个提问的机会。
You had a question.
你是有问题的吧？
Yeah.
我是今天在孙子刚才在冥想的时候，突然想到一个点，就是我缺什么给什么。我这个点不是很通，就是我缺的东西我怎么给？What I lack of others, I don't understand why if I lack something.
Yeah. So the exercise was to find something beautiful in the other person
这个练习呢，是在其他人的身上找到那些美好，
and for them to find something beautiful in you.
让他们在你的身上找到那些美好。
So what are you lacking?
那你缺乏什么？
What are you lacking?
你缺乏什么？
就是有点不好意思，到这儿了，来就是
And so
然后呢？做什么？
就是缺什么给什么，就比如说，我想去一场学习，非常想去，但是由于我的条件不允许，去不了，然后就错失了这一次机会，所以我自己对自己的觉察的过程当中，就是要努力的去满足自己这一块，才能更好的去珍惜到每一次学习的机会。所以我这个点有一些困惑，我不知道怎么做。
I understand.
我明白。
I would like to improve myself spiritually,
我想要得到灵性的成长，
but it costs money to do so.
但它需要钱，
And I don't have the money to pay.
但我还没有这样的能力。
What would you like to learn most?
但你最想学什么？
就比如说上一次去德国中心的时候，我是非常想去，但是就是由于这方面的原因，就没有去到，才不够。
So you want to go to SVN, but because of the money, you didn't go.
所以你想去德国中心，但是因为经济条件的原因，就没有去成。
And so what provision was made for you? Yes. What was provided for you instead?
那对你来说，相替代的，它提供给你了什么呢？
Think carefully before you answer.
你要仔细思考，在回答之前。
Think carefully.
你再好好想一想，你没有去成 SPN， 但相替代的，你得到了什么？
虽然说德国中心没去，但是线上的会议我是报了。Even though I didn't go to SPN, but I registered for online course.
And
然后呢？
然后估计上课的每一次我都认真听，然后也学到什么。
and
然后呢？
然后给到我学习完之后给到我的就是给自己下决心，尽量大量的去做自己要满足这个条件的事情。
再来一遍。
that you will go to SVN. Yeah. So then what did you gain?
那你获得了什么？
现在在努力的过程当中，
You gained a clear goal.
你获得了你清晰的目标。
对
Yes。
So how is this a loss?
那这损失了什么呢？对你来说，就这怎么能算是一个损失呢？
要继续努力吧。
How is this a loss?
那这对你来说怎么能算是损失呢？
好像现在突然觉得这是对我一个非常好的一个考验。
No test.
不是考验，
Put your hands. You there, sitting next to her. Put your hand on her shoulder.
把你的手放在他的
All
肩
of
膀
you.
上，所有人在他周边的人把你们的手放在他的肩
You
膀
only
上，
receive.
你只需要接受。
Put.
对，提问的人只需要接受，你周边的人把手放在你的肩膀上。
Since we all share the same beliefs,
我们都分享着同样的信仰。
no,
不用，
you need only to receive.
你就去接受。
So the belief is
所以你的信念是
that I don't get what I want,
我得不到我想要的，
when in fact
事实上
you get exactly what you need.
你获得了你真正需要的，
And from that
而从中
comes the conclusion
得到了结论，
of a clear goal
一个清晰的目标，
that is more than you can imagine.
它超出你的想象。
So support to that from your sisters around you.
所以去感受来自于周边兄弟姐妹的支持，
And may their touch be a reminder to you
让他们的这种触碰成为你的一种提
that
醒。
you can do anything.
你可以做一到一切。
Done.
结束。
One more question.
最后一个提问的机会。
想知道有时候跟大脑的一起工作，会有很多的排斥。然后我们是跟大脑一起随他的频率，还是不跟他们工作，还是怎么决定的呢？就不跟他们工作，然后那不跟他们工作，还是重新选择伙伴，还是调为他们的频率，跟大脑一起，我也调整大脑，还是什么样的？不好意思，我不应该就是我想说，对方如果是一个很大脑工作的状态，然后我是拼的也不太一样，还是出来是
Should you do the same? It depends on the outcome required.
它取决于你想要的一个结果。
One of the conversations I had with Guruji was to ask him a question for someone else.
我曾经有一次和咕噜吉的对话呢，是关于我需要帮别人问一个问题。
And it was basically, she was asking if she can offer some technique to devotees.
他就在问他可不可以对奉献者们去施展一种技巧。
And he said, I don't believe in techniques.
然后咕噜吉就回答是说我不相信这个技巧。
If somebody wants to transform,
如果一个人他想要转化，
all that is required
他需要的只是
is the unconditional acceptance of what is currently happening.
就是无条件的接纳现在的发生。
If this can happen,
如果这个可以发生，
all outcomes can change.
那所有的结果都会改变。
That's what this is about.
这就是刚才的那位问
To
题，
see the blockage,
去看到那个
to see that you can't see,
看到你看不到的，
and that it's okay.
这是一切都是很好
And I asked her sisters to touch her
然后我就请她周边的姐妹们去触碰她，
because we all share similar stories.
因为我们的故事情节大同小异。
And then if we do this, it's the easiest reminder
如果我们经过这个过程，是对她来说是个更容易的提醒，
that you are never alone in anything.
就是你从来都没有过独自一人。
That was the last question.
好，
Now
这是
you
最
can
后一
have
个问
lunch.
题。现在我们大家去吃饭，现在12:10，我们大家1:10都回到这里，1个小时。吃饭我还有通知一下社区。现在的地方是出门，然后向左转，然后看到那边